Hey, how's it going, YouTube? Lawler here. We've got another North American regional wrapping up this weekend, but on top of that, we had Open 2 for EU come to a conclusion. We have found out our victor, and in today's video, we're going to break down not only what happened in Europe, but also what happened in the other regions along with it, giving you guys kind of a rankings update, who are our favorites, all that kind of stuff. So we got a couple parts to get through, and we're not going to wait at all. Let's jump straight into it as we take a look at the results. Starting off with Group A and Group B. In Group A, we had some more consistencies in the results. Dignitas and K-Corp, you're 1-2. Glad to see them bouncing back. I talked about in my earlier video saying, hey, Dignitas is that team that I expect. Stidsy's not going to have that same level of performance. We would like to see him kind of go back to what our expectations are, and he does just that. Getting it out of the way, I made 3 bold predictions. My eye test said I was not convinced in Mates. Something feels off. I don't like it. The second thing I talked about is how NIP to me is a top 3 team. I've been very confident in them. And then the third thing was 100% I haven't been convinced on. There's something about 100% that I don't quite feel it. I'm ready to walk back on some statements, but still be solidified in my opinion of them as well. We'll talk about that when we get to their matches. Either way, as expected, I would say, to see a majority of the teams making it through. The only ones that I'm kind of surprised by is like Synergy going 2-3 was pretty surprising to lose to Caliente. Apparently KDOP still built different. Arrogant also not making it through was a little bit surprising there. But other than that, all the same teams. A lot of familiar faces. We were hoping to see maybe Redemption doesn't go 0-2 this time around in playoff bracket. Maybe that'll change. GK only suffering a loss to the best team in the world in K-Corp. I would say Dignitas, a little concerning. They did not look as convincing, I will say, in Swiss this time around. 2 Game 5s, 100% one of those teams. I think the 2 teams I probably want to avoid the most in bracket play right now are 100% in GK, because they are GK. You don't know what you're gonna get. Is Joyo gonna leave mid-series and come back? Is he gonna not get fined for his name stuff? Are they gonna do some pretty sus stuff? There was a lot of drama with the GK guys this past weekend. Primarily in a timeout that was caused, or a pause that happened and occurred due to the fact of a player having server issues with Goffs, and just a bunch of chaos, a bunch of nonsense. There was a bunch of drama on the timeline with Rizex. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, go check it out. But when it comes to like professionalism and just like being sportsmanlike, GK not winning fans, not doing a good job of it. Things I would say as expected. I think your top 8 in Group A is pretty consistent. The only ones that you might see a little bit swapped depending on your favoritism. But I will say good to see Fast Forward making it back in. If you guys don't remember, Fast Forward took down Vitality in round 1 in the previous Open and then conceded and didn't make top 16. This time they come back through. Losses suffering only to Dignitas and Redemption. So good for them. Glad to see Fast Forward back. They, to me, are a team that should be consistently top 16. Over in Group B, more of the same. NIP and Vitality both going perfect, with Mates having some ups and downs. Their only loss they do suffer to NIP, which I think is a good solidification for NIP to prove that, hey, we are a step ahead. Mates, again, I think run-wise, pretty stable, I would say. Teams they should definitely be beating, so it's good there. Ascend and Startpoint kind of stealing the show. Ascend in particular, that is a team that I'm keeping my eye on. That's the Young Guns, if you don't know. I think Gyuk continues to have kind of that breakout performance, which is very exciting to see. Ascend is going to be one that I think a lot of us keep our eyes on. RRG bouncing back still. Startpoint making it. Was surprised to not see Wild or Novo being that Italian team, if I remember correctly. Wild, I think, has a lot of talent, but to lose to the team most people aren't familiar with Nomster, was shocking. Losing in 5, man. It's been competitive across all of Europe. So JJ Rocks finds her way back in. That's the Marked by 8 team with the guys, which then gives us our group stage. We're going to start with A, and then we'll go into B again. Group A, as expected, NIP making their way through. The thing that a lot of people did not expect is them to win in 5 over Vitality, which kind of kicked off this weekend. Everybody was like, holy what is going down? Very exciting stuff. So NIP showing that they can. I've been talking the narrative of NIP of, while I think they are a top 3 in EU, they still have some things to work through. Vitality and K-Corp, to me, still have this very threatening playstyle where they are boost starve, in your face, no chance to breathe. And my initial thought is like, NIP's not there yet. They're still very good, but they're not there quite yet. I'm glad to see that they're pushing that narrative. I will also say some weird mistakes from Monkey Moon this past weekend. Just whiffing shots, not going in the right pathing, just some odd stuff. A little bit of beef, of course, online with a certain character in the scene we don't need to mention. But Monkey Moon will be fine. Similar to Stizzy, people can have off days. They are human. Mistakes do happen. But we saw early glimpses of it where Monkey Moon was making some mechanical mishaps, which isn't common for Monkey Moon usually is the like pinnacle of consistency. He doesn't make mistakes. He's in the right place at the right time and does his thing. Turns out he is human. It's a fun fact. Outside of that, unfortunately for Redemption, 0-2 yet again. 2 game 5s. Can't close it out. At the end of the day, those are matches that Redemption has to be winning against teams like JJ Rocks, the Spanish Bim Bam guys. You can't fall and concede to Boom Ball. You got to do something about that. So surprising to see Redemption go 0-2 there. Even more surprising, Caliente, K-Dop and the guys took down RRG, a team that had a pretty solid performance just a couple of weeks ago. So shoutouts to K-Dop for doing that. Start Point, if you guys do not know, with the Chronic coming back, he is starting to solidify themselves as a team that should be taken seriously, as a consistent top 8, top 6 contender. But ultimately do lose to Geek. So Geek, steps ahead. A little bit of a step ahead. Everybody should know that by talent alone. So that's where we're at. That's our top 4 moving through. NIP, Vitality, Geek, and Start Point. I'm not surprised by that. That's if I had to do any betting, that's probably who I was doing. I think it was between Start Point and RRG. Whoever came out from these would be the one that moves on through. In Group B, though, some pretty interesting stuff overall. Number 1, I mentioned 100% being that team that I'm like, you know what? I would not be surprised, even though they made top 4. I thought the teams that they were beating were kind of underperforming. I don't and could, quite honestly, because EU is EU, I could see them going 0-2, and that's what I predicted. I went the bold route. I didn't sit on the fence and I'm like, I'm going to go all or nothing on this, and I'm going to stick to my guns. I think 100% has shown me what they're made of, and they go 0-2. They do lose to Gentlemates, and I'm like, okay, that's to me expected. And then they go up against Fast Forward in 4 OTs, and I think this is where my mentality started to switch for 100%. And I'm happy to walk back on my answer and admit, you know what, I guess I was wrong on this one. 100% to me is a team that, while I'm still not wholeheartedly convinced, I'm still not confident in 100%. There is something about this team that when the going gets tough, when their backs are against the wall, when they're under a lot of pressure, they look like an entirely different team. I don't know what it is about having ice in the veins type mentality, but every time it seems like they flip a switch and look like an entirely different offense when they're either down by 1 with not much time left. It's going into OT. They have such a clutch factor to them that is the makings of a team that I don't want to compete against. If I'm, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, in bracket play, I want to avoid Geek because I don't know what their pop off is going to be, because I don't think even they know, because they're not probably putting in the time. And 100% just seems to be a very competitive team no matter when you play them. So glad to see Geek moving on through, but for 100%, they were on the brink of elimination at a moment's notice. Fast Forward with Mike Boy and the guys most definitely could have beat them. This was the epitome of a coin toss, and could have been the difference between them going 0-2 or not. But because they do clutch up, they then get another opportunity against Save the Game, which they barely win again. Another 2 OTs, very close games. Eventually they do lock in. Again, when pressure's on and everything's on the line, their offense just seems to be like, when you can watch 100% as a non-biased person, like if you're not saying I want 100% to win the whole thing, and you're just like, I'm here a fan as a Rocket League, they're entertaining as heck. Like, they are beyond entertaining to sit and watch, because it is close matches. It's nail biters. They've got pop-off potential. Like, rotationally, all of a sudden they'll hit that crazy infield redirect and you're like, all right, this is dope. But man, I do not envy, like, it's like watching CJ support Shopify Rebellion. We'll talk about that in tomorrow's video. But yeah, it's a roller coaster. So they take down then, and then Ascend does take them. Again, credit to the young kids. The more and more chances and more opportunities, as Ascend gets exposed to more high-level competition, they're only going to get better. So another close series, a bunch of OTs, 100% going through the gauntlet, dude. But Ascend does take it in 5. Congratulations to them. Very happy and very excited to watch this young team. That then gives us our playoffs, and some silly things happen. First and foremost, Dignitas, the curse is over. We're finally done. We no longer have people having to talk about Yoris when he gets to quarterfinals is going to just lose. he had a stellar performance. Bailed out that team, used that one skill a lot to push on through. Stizzy, huge bounce back moment as well. So 2 massive performances from Dignitas on Cloud9. Like they are absolutely vibing, and a massive performance to them because they, after losing last time, need a pretty solid performance to push themselves back up in the rankings. We'll talk about that in a bit. That does drop down NIP, K-Corp, and Vitality. This is the series of the weekend. If you guys did not get to watch, go back and watch it. This basically felt like a World Championship grand final. It was so good. Like, I went from watching this to then casting North America top 32. And like, it is glaringly obvious to be like, EU is going to stomp us when it comes to the international matches if this keeps up. It is a different level of play. AC Vitality both looked incredible. Still some mistakes, still some uncharacteristic things, but just a great series. Back and forth, the epitome of it. Timeouts making a difference. At one point, as you can see this, Vitality was up 3-1 in the series, and then K-Corp calls the timeout and wins 3 in a row. It was nuts, dude. It was absolutely nuts. Phenomenal series. Lower bracket side, 100% does beat GK. Congrats to 100% on that one. Again, close series overall, but this is the one, like, these 2 matches kind of solidified for me, like, hey, they can clutch up when they need to. And I'm going to take hard work and trying to do everything they can to secure a spot and get a organization over a team that is the epitome of phoning it in. Like, GK just feels like we're just existing. We're just going to coast on our talent. And I think in today's day and age of Rocket League, it's not enough anymore. You got to put in the hours. Pioneers is a prime example of this over in North America. They're just collecting a paycheck, it feels like. So I think 100% deserves to win that. And good for them. That's 2 top 6s. They should be very confident in their play. 100% is looking one of the more solidified to make top 4 and potential to major. Like, it's going to come down to the wire for Regional 3 or Open 3. On the other side, Starpoint and Ascend going all the way to 7. To me, this one is, while close, I think this one just goes down to veteran status. I think this is the first time these Ascend players have had to play something of this level of mental, this level of pressure. And I'm going to believe in someone like a Chronic in those moments, who's been there, who's played at World Championships, who's been in those high pressure moments. Despite that, all the way to 7, that's what, 6 overtimes? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 overtimes? 1 goal game on another one. So you have 6 1-goal games. And Ascend at one point was down 3-1. That's crazy. Very good series as well. Also, Acro and a Chronic. A Chronic, you know your name. Please never shorten it to Acro again. We have an Acro already playing. Makes it very confusing. But yeah. Also another fun team. Both these teams I'm excited to watch compete, because they could. I think it's between these 3 essentially. GK could also play upset, but I think it's between these 3 to fight and see if they can push out a Dignitas, a Vitality, or whatever, to try and make top 4. It's gonna be tough though. Lower quarters, NIP is just a better team than 100%. Nothing against 100%, but NIP to me, just talent-wise, beats them. Same thing with Vitality over Starpoint. Starpoint did put up a fight, but Vitality, even with some of the mistakes they're making, able to take them out. Starpoint at one point did have a 5-1 game too after their timeout. Timeout buff goes strong. From here, K-Corp is the best team in the world. I don't know what to tell you guys. They're sweeping competition. They look so unbelievably one-sided when they lock in. The biggest upset though, Dignitas over Vitality. That's a beautiful moment for, I think, Dignitas. I put out a tweet basically stating that Dignitas, based upon where their last season was for each player, the contrast in what they're experiencing is gotta feel incredible. You had Stizzy in the situation that they did very much so underperform. He moved to North America, just didn't get the results he wanted. It's not a good feeling for like a rookie. So to go from what he experienced last year, the constant rotation of players, the drama that they were dealing with, and to then go into a grand final after having a very down performance in Open 1, I'm sure feels amazing. If I'm apparently Jack, going to North America, if I am in a situation where like, hey, I'm in NA, I'm with a team that's supposed to be the super team. We had a really good start to the first event. make some coaching changes. We're trying to be more analytical. And then we have this internal dialogue that is not healthy, not good. It all falls apart. To be able to get together with a team that I assume he genuinely enjoys just spending time with. And I don't want to just assume things, but based on body language and the way that he's been acting, I think he's very happy to be on home soil, in his home country, truly at home with people he genuinely enjoys. Not saying he didn't genuinely enjoy his old team, but I think it's hard not to have a good time when you're surrounded by like Stizzy, Yos, Violent Panda, and yours. It's just a team that's full of vibes. It's easy to get behind. So I think you have that. And then for yours, to go from his situation with jobless, and sure, he had a great EWC stand-in and everything, but the guy's been searching for a long-term home for a while. And to be on that M80 squad and go through all the frustrations they had in quarterfinals to finally get through that and then do one step further than that, the comparison for Dignitas, I cannot imagine how they're feeling. I'm sure they are ecstatic. So for that to happen, for them to beat the narrative of the curse, to then take that momentum, beat a Vitality team that, although they are struggling a little bit and there's some mistakes, still a competitive match. At the end of the day, you still got to win, and they do just that. I think that height, that excitement, that pop off from Stizzy, if you guys didn't see it, I think I actually have it on my timeline somewhere. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it really quickly. Someone replied with it, I'm pretty sure. Here. Stizzy's reaction to winning against Vitality. So like, to have that height, to have that peak, and then say, take an hour off, come back and compete against K-Corp. To me, I didn't see a world where they were ever going to be able to, based upon the like dopamine hit, trying to level that out and be even keeled so they can go back. I never thought Dignitas had a chance in the series. Not just because it was K-Corp, but because of the height, the emotions, the overwhelming, to then try to level that back out and come back to reality, I think is just a lot for a team. On LAN, it's a little bit different when you're in that environment, but when you're at home, it's tough to log back in. So K-Corp is K-Corp. They're the best team in the world. I don't know anybody can argue that. They look absolutely dominant. They're the team to beat. They are the team to beat. I do not expect them to lose Open 3, but can they, as similar to last season? We've had some conversations also with Prof in chat. I don't see a world where they don't win all of the Opens, but I do see a world where they go to the major and they have a tough time recreating that play style. I think Vitality's play style, based upon what I've seen through historical evidence with Monkey Moon and stuff, they are a fundamentals team. Things that are a little bit easier to create when under pressure and in an uncomfortable environment. While K-Corp is, we're sniffing each other's tailpipes, we're cutting rotation like crazy. Mechanically, we're doing some things. And under pressure and familiar environment, it's not as easy to recreate that. You don't get as many hours or as many practice in your environment that you want. You know, hey, you got to go to the venue a couple hours early and you can't warm up as much as you need to. It's easier to rely on fundamentals with Vitality than I think it is K-Corp. We'll see how it goes. Very excited to watch. With that in mind, a couple things went down this weekend as well. We did have South America. Real quick recap. Furia and Team Secret are your 1-2. That solidifies and stays the same. They both go very, very quickly through their brackets. They even got a preview of playing each other. Corinthians had a knockout earlier in Open 1. Glad to see them bounce back in Open 2. Also going to Team Secret in 7. Very winnable for them. So there is this conversation between Corinthians, Godfidence, and a couple others. Novus Avi at one point, but Novus Avi not being in this and having to go through this gauntlet. Very, very unfortunate for them. Over in APAC, same situation. Elevate and Luminosity are your 1-2. They're the only ones that I foresee having a remote chance. And unfortunately for Elevate, it is the imports that are going to continue to dominate. So Luminosity will be the representation. Yeah, it's just the reality. They have been sweeping their competition. It hasn't even been close. So unfortunate for Elevate, they got to find an answer. And they got to do it quick. And even if they do, unless Luminosity gets knocked out here and Elevate wins the whole thing, there's no chance. So gonna be a tough one, but that's what we've got for a recap. Overall for the rankings, if you guys want a quick update, obviously K-Corp has solidified their spot. They are locked in. They will be going to the major in Birmingham. Conversation for teams like Dignitas and Vitality. They need essentially a top 4, top 2 for them to secure. We will go over a full breakdown, all the playoff scenarios in detail of what teams need to happen. But realistically, if you're in this kind of spot, you need like a 7-point finish, which is top 4, in order to basically give yourself that advantage. But we'll go into the full details of that in a future video. So if you want to make sure you don't miss out on that, or the North American recap that is coming up tomorrow, make sure you guys hit like, subscribe, notifications. Let me know anything in the comments down below. We'll see you in the next video. Peace.